We were somewhere in Nevada. Empty desert on all sides. No cell signal. No town signs. Just miles and miles of cracked road and heat lines dancing off the pavement. It was me, my girlfriend Anna, and my cousin Jake, driving cross-country in my old Honda Civic. The trip started out fun. Music, snacks, bad gas station coffee. But by the third day, we were all tired and irritable. The sun was setting fast, and we were low on gas. That's when we saw the sign. Rest area, 1 mile. It looked like salvation. We pulled in. The place was nearly empty except for one old white truck parked under a flickering light. The building itself was small, just 2 bathrooms and a couple of vending machines. The desert wind was loud, like it was whispering around us. It was the kind of place where time felt stuck. Anna went to the bathroom first. Jake stayed in the car, scrolling through old music on his dead phone. I stretched my legs and walked toward the vending machines. Everything inside was dusty, the kind of dust that feels like it's been there forever. The drinks were warm. I pressed a few buttons but nothing came out. Figures. That's when I noticed the truck. Same one that had been parked when we arrived. Still running. No driver inside. Headlights off. Engine quietly humming. Weird, I told Jake. He shrugged. Didn't seem worried. Maybe the guy's in the bathroom. But Anna hadn't seen anyone inside when she came out. We waited 10 more minutes. No one got out. No one got in. Still running. Still empty. Finally, Jake said, "Maybe he's asleep in the back," and went to check. I stood by the car, nervous. The sun was almost gone now. The rest stoplights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows that made everything look stretched and wrong. Jake walked around the truck. I heard him knock on the side once. Then again, louder. "Hello?" he called out. Nothing. He opened the driver's side door. It was empty. He peeked in the back seat, then froze. I saw his shoulders stiffen. He stepped back and waved me over. Jogged to him. "What?" He just pointed. In the back seat of the truck was a backpack. It was zipped open slightly, just enough to see the edge of a knife handle, duct tape, and what looked like a plastic bag full of zip ties. I stared. "What the hell?" Jake whispered. "We should go. Now." We turned around, walking quickly back to our car. That's when Anna called out, "Hey, there's someone coming!" Sure enough, a figure was walking down the path from behind the rest stop building. Slowly, steady pace, not hurried, not hesitant, just calm. He was tall, wore a faded brown jacket, black gloves. I couldn't see his face clearly, just the shape of it under a baseball cap. He didn't wave, didn't speak, just kept walking toward the truck. We didn't wait. We jumped in the car and took off. I floored it, gravel spitting out behind us. I checked the rearview mirror. He was just standing there now, next to the truck, watching us. No reaction. No movement. Just watching. We didn't say a word for at least 20 minutes. Eventually we found a small gas station. We filled up and tried to report what we saw. But we had no plate number, no photo. And when the attendant tried to look up the rest stop we mentioned, he said, "There's no rest area out there anymore. That one was shut down years ago after a couple of people went missing." I felt cold all over. We tried to go back the next morning. We really did. But we couldn't find it. Just flat highway and endless desert. Like it had been erased. I still don't know what we stumbled into that night, and I don't know who was driving that truck. But sometimes, when I'm on a quiet road at dusk, I still check my mirror, just in case someone's watching. I was 22, driving alone from Texas to California to start a new job. It was supposed to be a fresh start. New city, new people, new life. I had packed my old car with everything I owned and hit the road with a full tank and high hopes. By the second night, I was exhausted, my back hurt, my eyes burned. I had planned to sleep in my car at a rest stop, but it started raining hard, and I could barely see the road. That's when I saw the glowing red neon sign, Motel, Vacancy. It looked old but safe enough. Just a small building with maybe 10 rooms, a faded ice machine, and a cracked parking lot. I pulled in, thankful to be off the road. The man at the front desk was thin and pale, with a gray beard and yellow teeth. He barely looked up when I asked for a room. Cash only, he said. Luckily, I had some emergency cash in my glove box. I handed him $60. He gave me a key without saying another word. The metal key had a plastic tag that read, Room 6. The hallway smelled like old carpet and mildew. The light above my room flickered when I walked past it. When I opened the door, the room was freezing cold and smelled like cigarettes, even though there was a no smoking sign on the wall. Still, I didn't care. I was just glad to be somewhere dry. I locked the door, double-checked the windows, and crawled into bed with my hoodie on. The sheets felt damp and there was a small brown stain on the pillowcase. I didn't want to know what it was. I was drifting off when I heard a knock on the wall. Not the door. The wall. At first I thought maybe it was just someone in the next room. But then it came again. 2 slow knocks, followed by silence. Then again. Always 2 knocks. Never 3. Never 1. It kept happening every 5 minutes, like someone was trying to send a signal. I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing but silence. Then, very faintly, I heard what sounded like breathing, slow and heavy, right on the other side. I got up, walked out to the hallway, and looked at the door to room 7. There was no door. The wall was completely solid where a room should have been. Just a blank, painted surface like nothing was ever there. My stomach dropped. I went back into my room, locked the door again, and sat on the bed. That's when I noticed something else. My toothbrush, which I had left on the bathroom counter, was now on the floor, and my bag, which I had zipped shut, was slightly open. I told myself I was just tired. Maybe I dropped the toothbrush without realizing. Maybe I forgot to zip the bag fully. Maybe the knocks were pipes, or the wind. I turned off the light and tried to sleep. At exactly 3:13 a.m. I woke up with a start. Not from a noise. From a feeling, like someone was watching me. The room was pitch dark, but I could just barely make out the shape of a person standing in the corner. They weren't moving. Just standing there. Watching me. I couldn't breathe. I didn't move. I stared at them for what felt like hours. Then, blink, and they were gone. No sound. No door opening. Just gone. I jumped up, turned on every light in the room, and grabbed my keys. I didn't even care about my bag. I just needed to leave. When I opened the door, I stopped. All the other motel room doors were open. Wide open. Every single one. And all the rooms were empty. No beds, no furniture. Just bare walls and cracked floors. Like they hadn't been used in years. I ran to the front desk. No one there. Just a dusty counter and an unplugged computer. Got in my car and drove away without looking back. Drove for hours until the sun came up. I didn't stop until I saw a busy diner with lots of people. Later, I searched online for that motel. I couldn't find it. I remembered the exit, the road, the sign. Nothing. No listing. No reviews. No record of a motel ever being there. But I still have the room key. I found it in my jacket pocket a week later. Plastic tag. Room 6. Every now and then, when I can't sleep, I wonder what would have happened if I had stayed until morning. Or if I had answered the knock on the wall, or if I had blinked a second later. I never thought I'd pick up a stranger on the road. I grew up in a small town where everyone warned you about hitchhikers, strangers who might be dangerous or worse. But that night, I didn't have a choice. I was driving from Denver to Salt Lake City late at night. It was around 11 p.m., and the road was empty except for the occasional truck. The sky was clear, the stars bright. I was tired but wanted to get as far as I could before stopping. About 30 miles from the last gas station, I saw a man on the side of the highway waving his arm. At first, I wanted to ignore him, but something about the way he looked made me stop. He was thin, maybe in his early 30s, wearing a dark hoodie with the hood pulled up. His jeans were dirty and worn. He looked cold and tired. I could tell he hadn't eaten much lately. Maybe he was just someone who needed a ride. I pulled over and rolled down the window. "Hey, you need a lift?" I asked. He nodded, eyes quick, but not unfriendly. I unlocked the passenger door, and he got in. The car smelled like coffee and pine air freshener. He didn't say much, just looked straight ahead, hands folded in his lap. The first few minutes were quiet. I tried to make small talk. "Long walk?" I asked. He shook his head. "Yeah, been a rough week." I didn't push. I didn't want to pry. The road was dark and empty, but my headlights cut through the night cleanly. After about 10 minutes, I glanced at him. He was staring out the window, but something was off. His eyes kept flicking toward me, then away, like he was watching, but also hiding something. Then, he said without looking at me, "Can you stop at the next rest area? I need to use the bathroom." I hesitated. It was late, and that stretch of highway didn't have many places, but he looked desperate. "Sure," I said, taking the next exit. The rest area was small, just a few stalls and a dimly lit parking lot. I stayed in the car, engine running, doors locked. I watched him walk quickly toward the building, his hoodie still up, shoulders hunched. Minutes passed. 10, maybe 15. Then I heard footsteps running back to the car. He jumped in, breathing, hard, face pale. "Sorry," he said. "Some guys were there. I didn't want to stick around." I frowned. "What guys?" He looked down, fidgeting with his hands. "Just people. Some troublemakers." I didn't want to get into it. I nodded slowly and started driving again. The rest of the trip was quiet. I was tense, wondering if I had made a mistake. Then, about an hour later, the car started to sputter. The gas light blinked on. I cursed under my breath. I must have miscalculated. The next gas station was miles away. "Do you have any gas?" I asked him. He shook his head. "No." We slowed down, and the engine died on the side of the highway. Got out and popped the hood, but I didn't know much about cars. The engine was quiet now, but the night felt too still. No trucks, no passing cars, just us. The man said, "I'll go look for help." I was about to protest, but then I thought maybe it was better. I was tired, and the last thing I wanted was to wander around the dark highway. He walked away, his steps soft on the gravel. I sat back down in the car and locked the doors. My heart pounded so loud I thought he might hear it. Minutes passed. Then I saw him in the side mirror. He wasn't walking anymore. He was standing still, facing the car, watching me. I stared back, frozen. Suddenly, the passenger door handle started to jiggle. Hard, like someone was trying to get in. I locked it again. The knocking stopped, then started again, louder this time. Banging, shaking the door. I grabbed my phone. No signal. The banging stopped. The man stood up and walked back toward me. Slowly. I unlocked the door, and he slid in. He looked at me with a strange smile. "Got some gas," he said. holding a rusty can. I was too shocked to speak. He poured the gas into the tank. When the car started, I felt relief flood through me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. When we reached the next town, I told him to get out. He nodded, smiled one last time, and disappeared into the night. I never saw him again. But sometimes, when I'm driving late and see someone by the side of the road, I wonder, was he really just a hitchhiker or something else? It was late August, the kind of night where the air is thick and warm, but the roads are empty. I was driving back home after a long week visiting family. The highway was mostly empty, and I was feeling tired but wanted to get home before midnight. About 2 hours into the drive, my gas light flicked on. I wasn't sure how far I could make it, so I decided to stop at the next gas station. I saw it about 5 miles ahead. A small, old gas station with a bright, buzzing neon sign that said, "Open, 24 hours." The lot was empty except for a single beat-up pickup truck parked near the pumps. I pulled in, happy to stretch my legs. The building looked like it hadn't changed much since the 80s. Peeling paint, rusty metal doors, and a faded sign above. The entrance. I got out. The smell of gasoline strong in the night air. I filled the tank slowly, the pump clicking off as the tank reached full. I was about to go inside and grab a bottle of water when I noticed the pickup truck's driver sitting inside, staring straight ahead. His face was shadowed by a baseball cap. He didn't move, just sat there like a statue. Feeling a little uneasy, I went inside. The gas station was small. Just a counter with snacks, drinks, and a few shelves of random items. The fluorescent lights flickered, making the place feel colder than outside. Behind the counter was a man about my age, maybe early 30s, with tired eyes and messy hair. He looked up as I came in. "Evening," I said, trying to sound casual. He nodded. "Need anything?" "Just some water." He grabbed a bottle from the fridge and handed it to me without saying a word. I paid, then turned to leave. Before I got to the door, I noticed a calendar on the wall. The date was wrong. It said, August 15th, 1998. I blinked and looked again. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks. I stepped outside and glanced back toward the pickup truck. It was gone. I thought maybe the guy inside had moved it. But there were no tire tracks in the gravel. I got back in my car, unlocked the doors, and started the engine. Then, the man behind the counter walked outside. I froze. He stared at me with an empty look, then said quietly, "You shouldn't have come here." I swallowed hard and slammed the door shut. "Look, I just need to get home," I said, my voice shaking. He didn't answer, just stood there, watching. I tried to start the car. The engine turned over but then sputtered and died. I tried again. Same thing. Panic crept in. I looked up. The man was walking toward me, slow and steady. I locked the doors and grabbed my phone. No signal. The air grew colder. I could see my breath in front of me, even though it was still summer. The man knocked. On the window. "Hey," he said softly. "You can't leave." My hands trembled. I looked around. The gas station was the only place for miles. I thought about running, but where? The darkness stretched in every direction. He knocked again, this time harder. Suddenly headlights appeared from the highway. A car was coming. I waved frantically. The headlights grew brighter. But just before the car reached the gas station, the lights went out. Complete darkness. The car slowed and disappeared. Down the road, I was alone again. The man was right outside the window, his face inches away. "No one leaves," he whispered. I could hear a strange humming in the air, like a low buzz just beneath the surface. Then, a siren sounded far away, but it wasn't from any police car I recognized. I started the engine again, and this time it roared to life. I peeled out of the parking lot, tires kicking up dust. I didn't look back. I drove for hours, finally stopping at a well-lit diner in the next town. The people inside were normal, laughing, talking, eating. No strange dates on calendars. No odd men watching from the shadows. But I still keep thinking about that gas station, the man's eyes, the wrong date, the empty pickup truck. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm driving and the gas light flickers on, I swear I see that neon sign, glowing in the distance, and I remember, some places on the road don't want you to leave. It was a late summer night, and I was driving home after visiting my sister a few states away. The highway was mostly empty, the kind of night where you could hear your own thoughts and the hum of the engine. I was tired but wanted to get home, before dawn. The GPS told me to take the next exit, so I slowed down and moved to the right lane. But just before I reached the exit ramp, I saw a sign I didn't recognize. It said, "Detour ahead." I kept driving, hoping the GPS would update and guide me back on track. Then the road curved sharply, and suddenly I was on a narrow two-lane road surrounded by thick forest on both sides. The trees blocked out the moonlight, and the air felt colder, even though it was August. I glanced at the GPS again. It was stuck, spinning, and unable to find a signal. My phone was the same. No service. I started feeling uneasy. The road was twisting and dark. I hadn't seen another car for miles. The only sound was the crunch of tires on gravel and the occasional rustle from the trees. After about 20 minutes, the road ended in a small parking lot next to an old abandoned gas station. The building was boarded up, windows cracked and dirty. I felt a strange chill run down my spine. I was about to turn around when I saw a figure standing by the edge of the lot. A man. He looked like he had been waiting. He wore a dark jacket and jeans, and his face was hidden by the shadow of a baseball cap. He didn't move as I stopped the car. I rolled down the window a little and asked, "Do you need help?" He didn't answer, just stared. Then, without warning, he stepped toward my car. I felt a wave of fear and rolled the window up quickly. My hands shook. The man circled the car slowly, tapping on the windows one by one. I locked the doors. "Hey," I said loudly, trying to sound confident. "I'm just passing through. No need for this." He stopped, leaned close to the driver's side window, and smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was cold, empty. "Wrong exit," he said softly. "You should have stayed on the highway." My heart pounded. I started the car and tried to back out, but the gravel was loose, and the tires spun without grip. The man tapped the window again. I glanced around for help, but there was nothing. No houses, no lights, just the forest closing in. I pressed the gas harder. The car jolted forward, then got stuck. I tried again, rocking the wheel, but I was trapped. The man pulled out a small flashlight and shone it through the window, right into my eyes. I blinked, feeling dizzy. Then he laughed, a dry, bitter sound that echoed in the empty night. Suddenly I saw headlights far down the road. I yelled, "Help, please!" The man's smile faded. He looked toward the road and then back at me. I seized the moment, put the car in reverse, and finally got enough traction to move. I sped down the narrow road, heart racing. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the man was standing at the edge of the parking lot, watching me go. I drove without stopping for miles. Eventually, I found a gas station with lights on and other cars around. I told the clerk about the detour and the man, but he just shrugged. "Not much. Out there," he said. "Some roads lead nowhere." I didn't tell anyone else. Who would believe me? It felt like I had driven into some nightmare. Now, every time I see a highway exit sign, I hesitate. Sometimes, I wonder what would have happened if I had stopped, or if the man had caught me. And on some nights, when the wind is right, I swear I hear that cold, bitter laugh echoing in my mind.